Do you want to control your moods and emotions? I'm Nicola Parker, a mental fitness mentor for mums and mumpreneurs, helping you to feel safe and emotionally independent. Today, I'm going to be joined by the founder of Smash, Sandra, and we are going to be exploring the ways that food can help with your mood, as well as how food impacts things like pain, which then can cause us to struggle with our mental health. I am so excited. Sandra is amazing and someone that I invest in as well. So get buckled in.
What I do is I help women put the pieces of their health jigsaw back together again so they can feel absolutely amazing. And the reason I do this is because just over 10 years ago, I felt like absolute crap. I suffered with chronic pain. I had migraines all the time. My asthma was a nightmare. What else? I had allergies. I had skin conditions, and my life wasn't going in a very good direction. And then what I did was I changed my life around 10 years ago. And all I can say is I am so grateful that I did, because now I actually am 10 years older, but I feel 20 years younger. And when I think about the things that I couldn't do and what I can do now, I want to be able to share that with other women so they never have to suffer like the way that I do or I did for so long. And that is what I am so passionate about. And as Nicholas says, I have this way of making really complicated things sound really simple. And I can connect with people so that they're able to go, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
When I first met Sandra, we was in a different group. It was like I can't remember what it was, but it was just like a group full of other business ladies all kind of coming together and having a bit of a chit chat on a Monday, because running your own business can be blinking lonely, can't it, ladies? So somebody had said something about a fruit, and I'm sure it was pomegranate, which to me I thought was an animal. I think I got it mixed up with a porcupine. I don't know what I got it mixed up with.
Yeah.
I thought someone was on about an animal. And then they started talking about seeds and things like this. And then Sandra, which I love, got on her high horse. And it's like, oh, hello, what's going on here? And was explaining about why and more so what was happening with the fact that this particular lady was buying pre-done pomegranate, like the de-seeded pomegranates. Is that the right way of saying it? Yeah. But it was stored in plastic. And Sandra started talking about the toxins in plastic. And that same day, I was then speaking to my partner going, oh my gosh, like, have you any idea what we're doing? Get all this shit out of the fridge. What are we doing? And then we've had discussions about pans and the non-stick pans. Yeah. So it is so much more than just looking at what you're eating. It like looking at what we're being exposed to, how that then has a ripple effect into the family is massive. One of the things I do, but I've not mentioned it to you, but I know I've seen you mention it, is when I have looked at Sandra's before pictures and now pictures, she does look like she's got younger. Her skin is amazing. And I'm sometimes watching going, I can't see a fucking wrinkle. It's just not. What's going on?
What's really amazing, Nicola, is years ago I used to had to hide my skin, and I felt as though I was aging really, really fast. I now use less makeup, less beauty products, and my skin is so much better. I'm here to say I will be 50 next year, and I have no signs of perimenopause whatsoever.
One of the ways that he would try and help me to feel better would be, so if I was messaging him in the day and I was like clearly really struggling, he would always on his way home from work come home and give me all this chocolate. And Sandra's helped me to learn all this. The dopamine hit of one, oh my gosh, she's bringing me a gift, and oh my gosh, there's chocolate, and then I'm going to eat it all in one go usually. And then I would have that little bit of a, oh, this is nice, this is comforting, this is what I need. I also have, excuse me, physical health conditions that mean I crave sugar because that is feeding the bad things. Sandra says it more technically than me, but the
Yeah.
bad parts of my body are saying, oh, eat the sugar. So with my kids, I describe it as the bad army and the good army. So I'm like, oh, I'm just the bad army saying, eat more of this. I need this to grow, but I don't want my bad army to grow, do I? Want the good army to grow. So I'm thinking, oh, I can't help it. It's not my fault I crave chocolate. I just need it. I've got to have it. But then it can be a bit of that mindset thing to then be going making food. So I am quite lucky in that my partner loves to feed me, but now he's feeding me by, like, Sandra has this recipe, okay guys, for chocolate muffins. Oh my gosh, I literally go mad if people try and take my chocolate muffins, and I am the biggest chocolate fan ever. I have this big debate of whether chocolate belongs in the fridge and all these sorts of things. Like, chocolate is life to me, I've always said. And weirdly, I've been following Sandra's thing for a while now, and like all things, I dipped in and out. And then I dipped out again recently, paid the price for that. And then we was at the cinemas at weekend. Those who follow my stories and things will have seen we was at the cinemas, and usually cinemas is about food related activity, and it's popcorn, or for me it was always a big family sharing bag of chocolate, the family being me. So
Yeah.
that was always what I'd done. But I'd had my smoothie bowl in the morning. We was at the cinemas still in the morning, but usually I'd still eat. Aurora was getting popcorn, that was fine. Like, okay, have popcorn. I think Dave got a big drink of fizzy drink, and I was just in there with my bottle of water, and I was like, I'm okay. I'm not actually hungry. And then Dave at one point offered me some chocolate, and it was my favourite type of chocolate as well. It was Cadbury's, it was Twirl, and I was like, non-lead, like, oh. And I was like, I'm okay, thank you. And I remember sitting there watching this film thinking, and I wanted to jump out of my seat and be like, oh my God, I've just turned chocolate down. What's going on with me? And I really wanted to message Sandra as well, but I was like, strict no phone in the cinema. But I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
With what I know now and what I went through, I know now what I was doing to my body. So I want to stop and help prevent other women from doing the same. Because when you're messing around with your hormones, which I continually was, it was just a recipe for disaster. And that was the thing. It was a recipe for disaster. And I ended up in agony. Like, imagine rolling in bed and wakening with your back and pelvis rolling at different speeds, and the pain that used to shoot through my body. That was the pain that I used to live in. And that is how I know now I will never, ever go back to the way that I used to eat, because I never, ever want to be in that level of pain. Am I an angel? No. Okay. And that is the thing. But I am no longer addicted to sugar. I have a chocolate muffin every day with my cup of tea at 3 o'clock. And I have a peanut cookie every day with my 11 o'clock cup of tea. And I love it. And the reason that I've been able to live my life this way is because I found alternatives to the highly processed, highly addicted sugars that are in traditional chocolate. I know if I had dairy milk, I probably would have a headache because of the sugar overload in my body. My body would be just like, what the hell are you doing to me? And that is the thing. But the reason that you were able to say no at the cinema was because your body was nutritionally satisfied. And that is what happened.
I was like, sod it. Said to Aurora, like, that this is a really special treat because we're in the dark, okay? So we're just going to share some chocolate. And it was so interesting when you then said before that if you had chocolate, you'd get a headache. After it, I'm sat there thinking, I feel worse than before. Like, my energy's just dropped. I was like, I feel rubbish. And it wasn't feeling guilty, because I think so many diet cultures can make you feel guilty for eating bad food, naughty food, wrong food. It wasn't a guilt feeling. It was just being so aware of how my body felt. But then what was so interesting is mine and Aurora's mood dropped. Regardless of how we felt, even though we had no power and everything, it was kind of a bit fun, and it was helping her to realize what power does and things like that. It was okay. It was frustrating because we would have gone out, but my hair was greasy, and I was like, we're not going out looking like this. We can't do this to the world. But we was doing okay. But then after lunchtime, it got worse, and it was really noticing how that food had impacted us and really affected our mood, so much so that come the evening, I forgot what he was going to make originally. My partner was going to make some fried chicken with this other, with some parsnips and some other veg and stuff that he's been making following the smash recipes. But I knew the chicken was not smash way because I knew it was shop coated. And I was like, I really don't want to feel rubbish. Like, my mood's only kind of just coming back up. Do you know what? I'm just going to have a chicken salad with some sourdough bread. Like, I'm just going to have that. And then noticing that by the evening, my mood is much better and seeing the direct correlation.
Sorry, Nick, hearing you say, I'm going to have a chicken salad. I'm sorry. That is absolutely amazing. I am so proud of you.
And this is why I do say, and I know it gets me emotional, but Sandra's changed my life because how understanding Sandra has been. She's been so supportive and so, like, you've just seen her congratulate me. Oh my gosh, look at you eating salad. What? Over to you in how and why food affects our mental health. Get on that hot.
It has such a huge impact on so many different levels. And hearing you say all those things, Nicola, you do not realize how proud I am of you, because I know what a huge, huge step even eating lettuce. Like, the first time I spoke to you, were like, it's green, it's minging, it's slimy, I'm not doing that. So to hear you come such a far journey in what has been quite literally a short space of time. Yeah. It has been so good, and I am so happy for you, so happy, because when we eat food, and even talking about food, we talk about, oh, I've been really bad at the weekend. Why have you been bad at the weekend? Oh, well, I had this and I had that and had that. Did you enjoy yourself? Oh, yeah. Well, then why do you associate it with being bad? Because the diet industry has told us, unless we're eating salad leaves and broccoli and boring chicken, anything else outside that is bad. So mentally, that association with that food is awful. So then what happens? The guilt starts. When the guilt starts, then the emotions and the hormones start to totally go off balance, and we get into this cycle of being good and bad and feeling that way. There is never, ever, ever any guilt linked to anything that you eat. You eat it, you enjoy it, and then, as Nicola says, you assess how you feel. If you feel like crap, you go, right, what did I do? What happened? Why am I feeling like this? And then you go, right, could it be X, Y, and Z? And you find out the foods that will make you feel energized, make you feel good, make you feel the best version of you, to be pain-free, because that is life-changing as well, being pain-free. And when we eat the foods that are really high in sugar and chemicals, and when they go into our body, as Nicola said earlier, it gives us that dopamine hit. When we get that dopamine hit, that's not satisfaction, that is euphoria. That is, I want more of this. But what happens then is our bodies get to a level where that level of food will not give you the same dopamine hit. So then you have to eat more of that. You become resistant to it. So then we need more of that food to get that same high. And then it gets more and more and more. And that's where we overeat. Food companies know this. And this is where I get on my high horse. Food companies know this. And they spent millions upon millions analyzing our brain, analyzing our taste buds, with the way that we eat food, that they can hit the bliss point in our bodies that make us go, you need more of that. You need more of that. Not only that, when we're eating those foods, they're full of ingredients that are destroying our gut health. When you destroy your gut health, your gut can then not make the hormones that we need for enjoyment, for satisfaction, for sleep, to calm us. That is all having that impact as well. And if we are eating when we're highly stressed, which is when we go to those foods, what then will happen is our cortisol is raised in our body. And when our cortisol is raised in our body is going, shit, there's a lion out there. It's going to catch us. What we need to do is we need to be able to run and escape and survive. So it takes all the nutrients and food it's in our body, and it stores it as fat for energy just in case there's a lion, just in case there's a tiger. But in reality, there's no lion, there's no tiger. So our body is on that continual stress mode. We're mentally stressed, we're physically stressed, and our body is continually storing body fat. And when we're in that mode, our body is putting all our energy to our muscles. So that means as well, mentally, we can't function. We're on that constant high alert looking for something to annoy us, and it never happens. And that's the damage that we are doing to our bodies with the lifestyle, the stress lifestyle that we lead, the emotions that we feel as though we're feeding our emotions. And whenever you think of that, it's like you feed your emotions. No, take the power away from food. Deal with it. Do the things that you say, Nicola. Work with them. Feel the emotions. We are meant to feel emotions. We are meant to cry. People see crying as a weakness. It's not. We need to release that. I have power cries very regularly. I go to the shower and I release all that emotion and I come out and I am like a new person. And it's taken years to be able to do that. Whereas beforehand, I ate and drank to keep my body, or in a way to nearly keep me from thinking about what I was doing.
I do have a blog called Big Girls Don't Cry. And so I've spoken here before about you have to teach yourself how to cry. I've been speaking to a few ladies just this week about journaling, and if you search in this group journal prompts, loads will come up. And like Sandra says, that I talk a lot about the pink elephant in the room. The elephant in the room, we all know is a conversation that, or something that's going on that you're just trying to pretend isn't there, but it's clearly there. The pink elephant in the room is our mental health, is our emotions, is our moods, is how we're feeling. And we will try and eat that away and eat those emotions away and be like, oh, well, I'm depressed, or I'm really struggling with being disassociated today. Or when I was numb, like I have borderline personality disorder, and being numb, some people who are mainly manic all the time might think, oh, numb sounds like a blessing, but being numb is such a hard place to be in sometimes. And I would use food and think, give me loads of sugar and it might help me get out of this numb state, but actually it never did. And the more you're using food to deal with your emotions and to deal with the side effects of your mental illness, you're just going to be in that vicious cycle, because you're not dealing with the pink elephant in your room, and then you're not helping your body to deal with that, because the food you're eating are impacting and causing your mental illness symptoms to get worse. So where I was saying before, I say like the good army and the bad army, if your mental illness is the bad army, you're feeding that bad army. You're making louder. You're making those anxiety thoughts louder by giving it the sugar it needs, by giving it the bad fats that it needs. It then can scream at you so much louder because you're helping it to. So just knowing on a mindset level to think, oh, hang on, let me just be more mindful of what I'm eating. And I know it's not easy. Like Sandra said, it's took me a while to get past the neurodivergent side of things and the textures and the colours, and just like for me, I forgot what it was now, but it's definitely over 15 years that I've had pizza every Saturday. I'm still eating pizza, but now the pizza's not as bad. Like when I did my consultation with Sandra, and she kind of gives you like the report and feedback of what is in your body and what isn't. All the bad stuff was in my body, and the good stuff was literally, Sandra was like, there's supposed to be a line, like, just to let you know, there's supposed to be at least something in this section, Nicola. And I'm like, hey. And one of mine was, how much damage my usual pizza was doing. I'm still eating my pizza now, but in a much different way. And it's actually much nicer than the pizzas I ever used to have. Still having my chocolate, like my chocolate muffins, and we do have the cookies, but I never get a chance to get near them because the kids just devour them before I even realise they're in the jar and they're gone. But the muffins are mine. They need to ask Dave if they want more muffins. It's like, go and ask Dave for more because they're mine, don't touch. But taking my time with it all and knowing I don't have to expect myself to go from eating this way to suddenly eating that way in a day. To seeing Sandra posting this smoothie bowl for God knows how long and thinking, oh yeah, she just must be an inner rabbit and she just loves all this sort of rabbit food. But I don't, but I'll work up to it. But as you could see, Sandra's so shocked on, you had a chicken salad? Like, what? That's what you're turning to? But I know my mental fitness is a lot more than what it was when I was in those deeper, darker days. But even now, knowing that I've got stuff going on, my health is peeing me off. I was supposed to have an appointment today, and I'd been really looking forward to this appointment. It was a big appointment. And when it got cancelled yesterday, I was like, ooh. Whereas today, knowing that I've fueled my body right, I'm like, oh, do you know what? It'll come. It'll be fine. It'll happen when it's happened. My energy, even though my energy should be shocking, especially because I'm on this trial medication, and one of the main things it does is just make me feel like a vampire has drained me dry. But seeing how much more energy I have, I struggle with it's brain fog. For years, I called it brain frog. Apparently, there's no frog in there. Brain fog. And I'm not saying my brain fog has gone completely, but it is definitely much less, which then gives me the confidence to be on my stories more, to do lives more, to talk more, and know that I'm not suddenly going to be like, what I'm saying. But it does take time. I'm not saying you're suddenly going to say, right, Sandra, help me then. And you're going to go from eating one way to eating another in a day. And that is not what to expect. But just knowing and hearing us, having this conversation, going, oh, hang on a minute. So that's why I'm craving even more sugar after I've had the sugar. Hang on a minute. These companies are lining their pockets while my mental health is getting more and more in the gutter. And then I'm just then going more and more for the bad foods. I've definitely noticed how different I feel mentally, even how it affects, your sleeping and all things like that. Like I still use, I know I talked about it in the group before, but I have like 3 notebooks by my bed. So I have like a work one. So it's like any ideas that come up they always come up at like 3:00 in the morning, don't they? And you're like, oh. So I deal with it and I'll jot it down, or a life one where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm replaying the conversation I had with that woman at Asda. Did she think I was a lunatic for saying that? What did she think about me? Get that down, put it in the notebook, get it out of your head, put it down, give it time that you're going to deal with it and all that lot. And then a dream one where, oh, I've had a dream, it's upset me, let me put it in there. What was the emotion that it really made me feel? Let me write it down, let me go back to sleep. But what even just incorporating these smoothies at the minute, because not every meal I'm having is perfect, and that's fine. But my fats have been terrible. And even like, I can't remember what's in here. We have spinach, avocado, berries, lots of good stuff. Stuff that I wouldn't eat either, so it's okay to put it in a smoothie. Don't like avocados, kind of just ignore the fact it's in there. And I'm like, oh, you're in there, but I don't know if you're in there, you squidgy little weirdo. But even just adding the smoothies to my days, I've literally been a bit fearful at the minute, thinking, oh, gosh, am I away in September? Like, how am I going to take my smoothie with me on the go? And I'm like, I will find a way, because I will not be having it. But noticing that the last couple of days, my sleeping has been much better, noticing I'm not needing to use all them notes as much because I'm just getting restful sleep. And for me, the sleep I only used to feel I got through exercise. We can't always exercise. My knees had enough of me doing squats and squat jumps and whatever else. So I'm on complete rest from exercise at the minute, which is usually a massive red flag to me in terms of how that is then going to impact my mental health. But then seeing, oh, actually, it's not impacted as much. And that is definitely because of the things I've been putting in my body. So I think not expecting you to go from living off fast food and takeaways and lots of sugar, but just knowing what you are doing to yourself. And Sandra is a walking, talking encyclopedia. People are like, what now? Fountain of knowledge.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, is when you start living a healthier lifestyle, most people start to live a healthier lifestyle to lose weight. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all they think of. But I'm like, no, let's not look at it like that. Let's look at it as a journey. Where do you see yourself in your 60s? Where do you see yourself in your 70s? Where do you see yourself in your 80s? Some people were like, I don't even think I'm going to get to 80. And I'm like, hell no, I'm going to be the 80-year-old that's running around like mad Egypt. And they're going to be going, can you just put her down? Like, just get her to sit down. Because when I was in my 30s, I couldn't get up off the floor without being in pain. And it was like, what am I going to be like when I'm 60? If this is what I'm like whenever I'm 30, what is it going to be like whenever I'm 60? My husband used to have to help me get out of the bath. So my thing was physical pain, which then did have a role and an impact on my mental health. And I suffered from postnatal depression. You know, that's the thing as well. I did suffer mentally years ago, but people go, oh, it's okay for you. I'm like, the reason I live the way I do is because of where I have been. And I don't ever want to go back there. So I will do the things long term for my long term health. But you don't have to be perfect. That is the thing. If you put the idea of being perfect on yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure. There is never any judgment. I will only ever advise. For example, if I see something, somebody doing something, I'll go, that is brilliant that you're doing this, but this is how you can make it even better for you. This is how you can make it easier for you. Because if we always eat what we've always eaten, we're always going to feel how we've always been feeling.
Yeah, I love that.
And that is so important. So for me, Nicola, you will laugh at this because I am a textures person as well. And in that, when I always say that, I always thought, well, if I don't try new stuff, I'm going back there. But it's, you know, I'm going down that road of being sick, in pain, asthma. I was on inhalers for so long. I don't own an inhaler anymore. I'm playing netball with girls that are 30 years younger than me. They're actually more than 30 years. They're actually more than
Let's
30.
Not think of that.
Like there's 17-year-olds. I'm playing netball with 17-year-olds.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, did I think that 10 years ago that would ever happen to me?
Yeah.
No, I was in such a bad state. I would have cried if somebody said there's netball on in the local gym or the local centre. You coming? I'd be like, I would love to, but I can't. And that used to break my heart. So when you're starting to think about, right, what changes can I make? Some people come in and go, bam, I want to make this change. I want to make it now. I want to do 100% and I want to reset my body. Fabulous. But there's people that for that is just too much. And like for you, Nicola, I knew if I'd said to you, you have to do this, you'd be like, whoa, no, this is not possible. I can't do that. So when you live life the smash way, that is what happens. You take it at whatever route you want to take. And we have a lovely lady in the group who never joined me to lose weight. It was always about health. And her story is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And she watched me, sorry, there's a hair tickling me. She watched me for years and then went, I'm ready. And she's like, why did I not do it sooner? I'm like, you weren't ready. You weren't ready. And that is the thing. When you're ready to make that change in anything that you do, the right thing will come along and it's here to help. But it's not a quick fix. It's never.
Yeah. I think, like you said, being ready, because I think, like for me, with me coming in it from a health perspective, is like, oh my gosh, I am desperate. I'll do anything to shift this recurrent cystitis now. I've had enough. And then thinking, it's gone now. Like, it's a bit like, I think we got to like 6 or 7 months, didn't we? Which for me, I've not had that in the last 5 years. That was the longest I've ever been. And then I had quit drinking, like part of doing it all and seeing how much drinking was affecting me. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to quit drinking. Like, who are you? Like, what do you mean you're going to quit drinking, Nicola? Well, you're falling out with love with gin. Even going to events and saying to myself, well, if you want to have a drink, and going, do you know what? I just don't. I'll just have a mocktail. I'm okay, thank you. So I'm thinking, right, it must have been the alcohol causing the cystitis. I'll just go back to everything else now. Like I do have things off Sandra to help with my nutrients and my vitamins, my minerals, because I know I'm nowhere near eating the right foods that I could be eating to help me. So I have a bit of a help, and even stopped all of that, stopped everything, and then it's come back, and it's come back with a vengeance. And I'm like, got it. But I've noticed that I am more ready now than last time, because now I've seen, do this, I felt a bit forced to be doing it. I'm having to do this because my body's failing me. I'm having to do this because I've got a shit body. But then this time to be going, no, look what happened when you stopped it. Never mind about the cystitis. Look how you was feeling. Look how everything else was affecting, and coming back into it and turning down chocolate. Like, who am I? Anybody who knows me is like, what the heck? Like, my partner was a bit like that. We weren't speaking at the time. We was obviously getting along with the kids or whatever, but we'd not been speaking. And when we'd kind of got back to speaking again, because we all go through these dips, don't we? They get annoying, they breathe, they move, they talk, and you're like, but when we got back to speaking, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, what was all that about? I'm like, what? He's like, in the cinemas. Like, you said no to chocolate. Was that because I was offering it? He was like, no. Like, anybody could offer me chocolate. I don't care who you are. I'd take it. It was nothing to do with that. But seeing that now, it's like, no, I'm in the right frame of mind, because I know it's not my body failing me. I know it's not, oh, I have to do this. It's like, do you know what? If you want to be here long term, like for me, didn't think of sharing this, but it's fine. For me, my life expectancy is 35 and I'm 36. So it's always been like, oh, what's the point? What's the point? But then to turn that around, yeah, and to think, well, hang on, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to help that life expectancy come true then? Or do you want to try and give it something? And I think I talk a lot in here about acceptance, and acceptance is one of my 5 pillars to becoming stronger than your mind, and accepting that what you're putting in is going to cause, like Sandra said before, if you keep putting in what you're putting in, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. And I am so passionate that we don't do exercise for losing weight. Like, losing weight is just whatever. You can be whatever size you want. You can be a size 20 and a size 10. You're not going to feel confident. You're not going to feel any better being a size 10 than a size 20 if you haven't sorted out what's in your head.
Struggles to know or doesn't know how to do that with a pomegranate, there is a reel on my Instagram showing you how to de-seed a pomegranate, because they are so good. Like, and on a different note, the bacteria in your gut that love pomegranate are bacteria called Akkermansia, and they are actually anti-cancerous, so they will help cancer cells in your body, and that is what is so important. So those kinds of things, I know the reason why, and then I just tell people, you know, it's gorgeous, it's tasty, but it's also going to help your gut and your lung health as well.
And I think that's another thing to quickly touch upon, is that Dave thinks he's dying to go on MasterChef or whatever. He's always thought he's great at cooking and doing things. I don't know if it's on your Instagram or not, but you do a video, or I don't know if I've just seen it being in the community, on cutting peppers. And it was like, what? What have we all been doing all this time? Like, what? Wow, because we eat a lot of peppers. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that, because if I ever had peppers on a pizza, I'd be like, if you put on my pizza, get it off my pizza. Whereas now, we love peppers. And Sandra does a video on how to cut up peppers, and it's like, oh, okay, what have we all been doing all this time?
I have already recorded doing that, but I've never posted it, so maybe I should.
You need to put that one on. It's a game-changing one. But you can see why me and Sandra are so aligned, because I'm not here to say exercise for how you look or anything. It's all about how you feel and mentally. And Sandra is similar in terms of food. It's all about how it's going to make you feel mentally. It's always all about what it is going to do for your body and your health, and making those choices that you want to make, not right choices, not wrong choices, but just making an informed choice of, well, if I eat this, this is going to happen. If I eat that, that's going to happen. And then making that choice of, and like, again, me being in the cinemas and going, actually, no, I'm okay, thank you. And knowing, like, for me in the cinemas as well, even afterwards, and it being a Saturday, and that's usually a day where I would have like an off day and eat more of the stuff or whatever, I'm just thinking, but I'm so linking that food now to me having cystitis, to me being in pain in that way, because my cystitis has me up at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I posted in Sandra's group, I don't know, I was just like, oh my God, it's bad, what's going on? What can I do? Knowing, well, you just sort your food out, but kind of wanting someone to give me this magical answer of, oh, just press this button somewhere and it'll flick everything off and you're great, love. Like, just that desperation. But now looking at foods and going, do I want to be riddled in pain? Do I want to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, sat on the loo for 4 or 5 hours, dying for my antibiotics to take effect, which is then, we won't get onto it, but which is then a whole other issue? I'm really being annoyed now when I have to take antibiotics and thinking, oh no. So me seeing foods now, I'm going, do you want cystitis and to be riddled in pain and have a whole day out? Like, you're not hungover now, but no, now you're out of sync because of your cystitis. So it's having that informed choice to just know. Even Sandra then saying about what pomegranates can do. If we're told, oh, you could do this and it'd help you to beat cancer, we'd all go and do it. But because it's food, we don't necessarily go and do it because it's a mindset thing. It's looking at what emotions are attached to that food. And Sandra is definitely the best person to, and I think we make a great team of going, use food for your emotions. Sandra can help you to know what foods are better for your emotions, and then I can help you how to actually deal with those emotions as well, as rather than going to food about it. So we make a cracking team.
We smash it.
So Sandra, how, like, we'll obviously put it in the comments or whatever here, or if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put it on YouTube and everything. But how and where can people find just that they can get support?
Yeah, they can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook as Smash Worldwide. You can drop me a message. There is the main smashworldwide.com website as well. And there is a little quiz on the main page of Smash Worldwide, and it is a daily habits quiz. So if you want to see what your daily habits and how they're having an impact on your long-term health, do that, because what it does is it takes each piece of your health jigsaw and it will show you where you need to focus on, and it'll give you a score so you can see where you need to go up and what you need to change. So it's really, really interesting, and it gives you a starting point as well. But if you want to reach out, you can certainly reach out, drop into my inbox. I am more than happy to help other women feel absolutely amazing, because we deserve to. That is the key. We deserve to feel absolutely amazing.
I am one of, I'm probably not the biggest fan because Sandra's got lots of fans on that show, but I am one of Sandra's biggest fans. Like, I talk about her so much, how she has not got permanently red ears. I speak to Sandra about anybody I can possibly speak to, because and I've said I speak about you a lot on my stories, and people will see me doing Sandra's things on my stories. So when people are like, what's that you're eating in your porridge? What is this you're doing? What's that you make? It's all through Sandra and what Sandra's taught me. And so I'm not going to go into details about anything with anyone. I will just say, you need Sandra in your life. Like, you need a Sandra. And I am your biggest fan for saying everybody needs to learn Smash and to learn it from you, and how you are the most supportive, non-judgmental person ever. Like, yes, Sandra is amazing, and we all need it. And the ripple effects that it can have on your family, like I said, I spoke about Aurora, even my teenagers are hearing things that I'm saying. It's a massive ripple effect, and sometimes when our mental health is low, we can struggle to do something that is just for us, because it's hard to focus on us when we hate us so much, or we're in that real self-hatred thing. So why do we want to do it for us? But the ripple effect it has on everybody around you, like, there's not a member of my family or a friend in my close friendship circle who doesn't know about Sandra. I could praise Sandra all day long because she's an amazing person and human being, but the knowledge she has and the way she shares it is just everything. And I only bring people in here that I trust are going to be supportive from all aspects, especially to do with our mental health and our feelings. And Sandra is definitely a safe person to be around, and she will help you to feel safe, because safe in my world, remember, is stronger than your mind. I always feel I have to go SAFE is accepted by yourself. Is feeling fit mentally and empowered to be emotionally independent. And Sandra can definitely help with all them things as well. So I could talk to her all day as well. I love when she gets on a high horse. So even if you just go in her world, so that you can see the way she gets, and you learn so much from it, and you're like, oh, what now? It's amazing. So thank you so much, so much. Sandra will be coming into the Stronger Than Your Mind Academy as well to go a bit deeper on all this. So if you think we've gone deep in here, you've got nothing coming next. So no, one of the butterflies commented and said, I'm not going to be able to make this live because she's at work. And I'm like, oh, don't you worry, because you're a butterfly. We're going to go deep into this.
Yeah.
So I will definitely see you again soon. Thank you from me to you for everything. And thank you for everything you've given this group today.
Thank you for trusting me with your health and your family's health. That means a lot. I am so proud of you. and you just continue to smash it, because you definitely are.
Oh, I wish I could hug you.
I know. We will.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
There. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and you'd like to see it live next time, then you can join me in my Facebook group, and I've popped the link for that in the description. If you found it useful, then please can you like, subscribe, comment, and also follow me on my other platforms that you can see here and that are in the description as well as, and I hope to see you there soon.